And then I'll just cut the
cut this
I'll cut the beginning off. Can we see us? Oh, I love it.
We're in it. We're in this thing.
We're in it. All right. Okay. So you can look at me, or you can look in the camera, or you can be like a speaker. You can do.
I'll do a little bit of both.
We'll go here and there. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
So, hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Happy Life with Maria podcast. Today we have the amazing Ben. How do you say your last name?
Yurcisin.
Thank you so much.
Yurcisin.
An amazing human. He is a host of New Jersey Tech Meetup in New Jersey.
Jersey City Tech Meetup, but close.
Jersey City. Find it, Google it. And he is an entrepreneur, a speaker. He is just all kinds of a man of all trades.
Thank you. I like that. That's it. That's a good intro there.
But today we're going to talk about entrepreneurship and his journey so welcome Ben to the podcast.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
I always enjoy a good podcast. As you know, I have my own podcast, so I'm always setting up and doing all the details. So it's nice to be a guest sometimes. You just show up, you get mic'd up, and then you just answer some questions. So I'll tell you what, I'm ready to answer some questions, talk about life.
Okay, so why don't we start? Very good. I'm ready. Why don't we talk about your background? If you could tell us a little bit of your backstory.
Well, the day was June 7th, 1991. And I opened my eyes and I was in the earth. So, and then, all right, from there, I was born into the universe, and then now we skip forward to, let's see, where do I begin? So, I mean, I grew up always like feeling like I wanted to do something special in this world. Like I didn't want to just kind of follow the path that everyone does. I always kind of, as a kid, was just thinking, what can I do that's different? How can I have a big impact? I want to have a big impact on this world. So like, I always had that kind of mindset, and I was like, always trying to figure out where I fit in like growing up in school and everything. I was part of the skating crew, and then I was part of the music crew. I hung out with the sports people. I feel like I was in all the different crews, but I never really like found my path, right? So I was always kind of feeling like an outsider, but that kind of led me down to the road of entrepreneurship, because that's kind of what being an entrepreneur is kind of being an outsider and someone who doesn't really fit in with the mold and does their own thing. So I mean, listen, growing up, I was hustling, making money since I was a kid, selling lemonade out in the driveway, doing deals. You know, when it was snowing out, everyone was going sledding. I would go knocking on doors, shoveling the driveway for $20. So I was always trying to find a way to make. I like money ever since I was a kid, and I like doing things that are different. So I was hustling. Exactly.
So you started early.
I started real early, and I was always doing that sort of thing. And then, like, I don't know, the real quick version, we could jump into any part of it. But then, I mean, I went to college for engineering, not because I knew what I wanted to do with my life, but because I was good at math and science. And I was like, I can make a lot of money in this field. So let's just go down the engineering path and see. I started as a mechanical engineer, but then I decided I wanted to go more to the business side and not go too deep in one thing. So I went down engineering management. Studied at Stevens Institute of Technology in Hoboken, New Jersey.
Hey, New Jersey.
Jersey, that's where I was born and raised. I've been there for most of my life. And then I went to college, did that, and did a few side hustles. Like my senior design project, I like started an app for finding the bars in Hoboken based on who's there and kind of the activity happening at any given bar. So I was already kind of always like creating and building and thinking of innovative stuff. And then I went and got a full-time job for 5 years that I absolutely hated.
Of course.
IT consulting. It just didn't resonate at all. I was just waking up every day, like trying to do good. I was trying to be good at the job and learn and pick everything up, but it was just didn't energize me one bit. It was just draining of my energy, and I hated it. I didn't mean to say that to be ungrateful, but I mean that to be honest, because I'm not here to beat down the bush. I'm here to be honest. And I really hated it. I mean, there was positive things about it, and I'm grateful for the paycheck it gave me, because that was cool, having a consistent paycheck. I got to live in London for a couple of months and explore Europe for the first time ever. So there's always a positive. So I definitely found the positives in that. And then while I was in that job, I was always looking for side hustles, and always in my head, I'm like, I got to have my own business. I always had an exit strategy. I was never going to stay there forever.
You knew you didn't like that.
I didn't like it. And I realized I've worked jobs throughout college. I did like internships every other semester. So I just realized working a corporate job, it wasn't the job that was wrong. It was the whole idea of working for a boss and doing the 9 to 5 and following that structure, that didn't work for me. Something that I'm working so hard and I'm making those fraction of the money that the owners are making. So I'm like, I should just, if I'm going to work this hard, I might as well work on something that I actually like and I'm passionate about.
Exactly. You're working hard anyway.
Exactly. I'm already working hard. And like, why am I doing it for someone else? Let me just work hard for me, which is kind of where I am today. But yeah, I mean, I had a couple side hustles. I started my, well, there's so many different things I can say.
I want to hear.
All right.
Go for it.
A little bit more on this. And then it was basically when I was just in this depression. Like, I don't like my job. I don't like what I'm doing. My life doesn't feel fulfilling. I know I'm meant for something more. I went to this big networking event called Propelify in Hoboken. Gary Vaynerchuk was speaking there. It's great. A couple of big time speakers. I'm like, I'll just go there and see if I get inspired, meet some people, see some new opportunities. And then speaking of opportunity, me and my buddy were there, and really the drinks were super expensive in the main area. It was like $12 for a drink, which isn't bad in New York, but I mean, for a festival, I was kind of like, I don't want to spend. So I saw a VIP section, there were free drinks. And I was like, all right, I got to get in that VIP section.
Okay.
So I'm ready to buy with my buddy, and I was like, just follow me. When I start walking, just go. All right. And he's like, what are you talking about? But we're not VIPs. So I was just waiting. And then all of a sudden the camera crew went up to the VIP section. There was confusion with the security. They're like, oh, where are the camera? And I noticed confusion. So I was like, now let's go. So I took my friend, we went through with the camera crew. We got in there. We were having some good times, some good drinks. I was meeting some people. But then I saw this lady interviewing everyone. And I was like, this is my chance. I got to get on this camera and get interviewed. And I told my buddy, I'm like, we got to get interviewed. He's like, what do you mean? She's interviewing entrepreneurs. We don't have a business. We don't have anything. I said, I'll figure it out. We just got to get on the camera.
I love it.
So I go up to her, and she's like closing up the equipment. It's the end of the day. I'm like, hey, I'm just curious. Like, what are you interviewing these people for? She's like, oh, I'm just interviewing the best, entrepreneurs of the day, people who are inspiring the future, this and that. And I said, well, that's fine. I'm actually just starting this business. I'm actually a fun coach. I help people figure out how to have fun in life because everyone's so serious and busy all the time. So I coach fun. And she's like, well, I was just wrapping up for the day, but would you be willing to do an interview? I said, actually, I would love to. That's January Barnes, by the way. Shout out to Marla and me. January is still a good friend of mine, but that was like my foot in the door, entrepreneurship.
Wow.
The interview is on YouTube, by the way. So if you want to put that in the show notes, it's really happened. Emily got interviewed. I made up a whole company on the spot called Fun Finders. And the next day, she posted that on her vlog. There's like 100,000 people on that. So I was like, oh, this is real. I got to make this thing. So then that was my first business. The next day, me and my buddy, we started it. We started Fun Finders and try to build this platform that connects people with fun things to do based on what their interests are, because life is I see so many people go to work miserable every day, and I'm just like, these people need some fun. So that's my first thing. And then that led down a path, and then I met some people through that. Ultimately, that startup failed, but that's okay, because all the failures lead to where you are today. And then I met this guy who gave me a tech meetup in Jersey City. I met him once to partner, and he's like, hey, Ben, I know we just met for a half hour, but I'm moving out of the city, and you're like the perfect person for this. I have a community already. Like, will you take this over? I've never hosted an event in my life, and I was terrified, but I was like, opportunities like that don't just show up every day.
First you say yes, and then
I said yes, and then I backed into the details. And I figured it out. I've been doing events for over almost 10 years now. And like, that's where everything started. Then I just met a bunch of people, founders, and then I started a couple companies. 2020, because of my pandemic, I laid off my full-time job, and everyone's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I'm like, no, this is my chance. Since then, I never went back to working a job. I figured out how to start my own companies, and I've been a full-time entrepreneur since then.
Wow.
Leading down a path to today, where I'm in the world of AI, still hosting events, got a couple startups, and having an impact in the world. That's the quick version.
But I just want to say, side note, Ben is an amazing, what do you call it? Like the speaker, the host, the vibe, everything. When you're in any of Ben's events, side note.
Thank you so much.
Side note.
Come to our events. We do them globally.
Yes. Definitely go to his events. He has multiple events, right? It's not just in New Jersey.
No. We do them in New York. We do them in London. We've done them in Dubai. We do them all over the place. We got a global network. So it's expanded.
What's the one that's global called?
The global one is the Generative AI Network.
Generative AI Network. Look it up.
And then the local one, if you're in Jersey City, I'm actually revamping it. Just announced a rebranding. It's the Jersey City Tech Meetup. That's the one I just mentioned I was doing for a while, and now we're bringing it back in a big way.
Yeah, but I just want to say again that Ben is amazing.
Thank you.
That hosting.
Yeah, I guess I found the thing I love, and I want to keep doing that
I
always.
feel like it's like so natural for you. It's literally just like it just flows. Like when you speak, it flows out of you. You can talk about any topic. You can make it very engaging. You can
Thank
make
you.
it so interesting. Like your energy just like radiates like the presence. It's like, oh, we have to listen.
But you know what? The thing is, I love partying. I was in a fraternity growing, so I love being a host of a party and like making sure. I always like made sure everyone was comfortable and like connect people so no one's just standing alone. And I always was doing that like in the party setting, and now I'm like, how can I do adult parties? Networking.
That's how you got started. That's the real.
That's
how it really
it's
started.
shaped it for sure. But I appreciate it. No, I do love like just hosting and bringing people together, community and like that whole thing. That's where I really feel like that light inside, where I'm like actually having a real impact. Opposite feeling of when I was working that full-time job.
Yes, pay attention to how you're feeling, right?
Yeah,
Tip
the energy.
number one, pay attention to how you're feeling, right?
Yeah.
If you're feeling miserable, that's the sign. The universe is telling you.
Exactly.
Maybe this is not your
I mean,
thing.
we all have bad days, even with what I'm doing now that I love. I have bad days here and there, but that's just one off. If you're consistently feeling bad, then that's time to make a change in your life.
If you're dreading going.
Exactly. You wake up feeling horrible. Like, I don't feel the, what are they, Sunday scaries? I don't feel those because I work every day. I told you I work every day. Friday, Sunday, Monday, Friday. It's all the
You
same.
work a lot anyway. That is what you enjoy doing.
It's
So
my
it doesn't
stuff.
feel like work.
Exactly.
It's energizing you. It's not depleting you.
Exactly. But with that said, I don't want anyone to think, oh, entrepreneurship is just all this fun and joy. Is definitely very different. And there are some days that are draining, and sometimes you just like grinding gears, like, is this going to work? It's a different kind of difficulty, but if you really believe in it and are passionate about that, then you just push through that, which is very important kind of attribute of being an entrepreneur. You need to be very resilient because it doesn't always feel good. It feels bad sometimes too, but like you said, it still matters that it's the thing you are passionate about. So at the end of the day, you can always fall back on your why you're doing it. If you're having a bad day, you can fall back on your why. Well, you can't with something you're not passionate about.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's so true. Like if you have the passion for it, if you know why, you're dedicating all your time and energy into it because it takes a lot of you to build something, whatever it is. It doesn't have to be a company, it could be services you're providing, whatever.
Exactly.
It's going to take energy out of you. It's going to take time.
You're going to have late nights. You're going to be making sacrifices. You got to say no to some things with friends. You really got to commit to it, but yes, so you do have to have a strong why.
The strong why is like the most important. The strong why is most important. Did you mention also that you used to teach entrepreneurship?
Well, I didn't. When I was a kid, I wanted to be a teacher. That kind of faded away as I grew up, but I always still like teaching people. And when I'm able to explain something and help someone, that makes me feel passionate and excited too. So it's actually full circle. So I went to Stevens Institute of Technology in Hoboken. Okay. That's where I studied engineering.
Okay.
Professor Zig, Dr. Zig, she was one of the professors that you like remember, like really inspiring. Like she like spent time and really wanted to like help you be prepared for the actual real world, which I think a lot of people don't do in colleges and especially elementary schools. Like it's a lot of book stuff, but they're not preparing you for the real world. She's always been awesome. And I kind of stay in touch with her on LinkedIn, and she sees all the stuff I've been doing. So she recently invited me to come back and teach a class on entrepreneurship to students 10 years after I graduated, which is crazy because I wish someone came and did that when I was a student, because I was feeling all the pressure of, I got to go get a job. I don't know what to do. So I basically went there and told everyone, like, if you want to get a job, that's okay too. And if that makes you happy, fine. But there's another path. And I'm here to talk to you about that other path. And you don't need to just do what everyone else is doing or what your parents are telling you to do or anything like that. So I was actually pretty nervous for that. I never taught a university lecture, but I got, and it's crazy because it's some of the kids, like some kids were really engaged. A lot of people talked to me afterwards, which made me feel really good. Others are just in their phone texting. It's kids. So like I got in my head when I look up and I see like half of them just like, I'm like, are you even listening to me? Paying attention.
That's different. Yeah,
exactly. It's different.
But I love that because you're introducing them to another idea because people don't even know that exists. Most of the time,
exactly.
You're growing up and you think there's only one path. That's all there is. And you don't even have the option to even think of another path.
Maybe you can work for yourself and like run a business and like do something you really enjoy.
So I think it's amazing that you got the chance to, even if it's like a small group or whatever it is, you got a chance to kind of open their minds to what's possible. at least like whoever was listening, that's huge.
Exactly. I think I'll be doing more of that in my life, especially as I get further in my career. I definitely see that being something I go back to because I definitely like.
You want to inspire.
I like inspiring the youth. And it's funny because she invited me to another thing recently. It was an alumni panel, basically talking about career paths and like what you can do. And there was 6 people and me. The 6 other alumni, they all just like went and got jobs and like did that. And hey, again, if you want to go get a job, that's okay. If that's what you want to do and you're not just doing it because society tells you, then it's okay. But anyway, these 6 people, they're all talking about the jobs that I got to the thing at the end. And I was just like, you don't have to go get a job. You don't need to do any of this stuff. You can do whatever you want. And everyone's like, what the hell? But it's funny because afterwards, everyone was lining up to talk to me. Like there's a whole line of kids who were like, what was that? And then a couple of them are actually interning for me now because they're so excited they want to get in. I was like, come on in. I'll show you the way.
Oh, I met some of those interns. They're amazing.
Yeah, true. They're amazing.
But I love that because literally you're opening their minds to what's possible. That's like step one, I feel like, to kind of like expanding your mind is what's gonna make you feel like, brave enough, I guess.
Exactly. First know it's possible and other people are doing it. Then you figure out your path and what you can make happen.
I love it. Yes. Thank you for sharing. So I have some general questions about entrepreneurship that I feel like some people might want to.
All right, I'm ready. I've been doing it. It's hard. Yes, it's very hard.
Yes. So number one question, I feel like a lot of people like the number one thing that a lot of people get like stops them from going for it is the fear of like failure or making a mistake. What do you say to somebody who's just so scared? To fail or
well, let's start with this. You're going to fail. There's not a if I fail, you will fail. So you definitely have to come to terms with that and get yourself good with that. And just know that every failure is one step closer to that place you're actually supposed to be. No, I don't know, maybe one person that wins the lottery succeeds with their first ever business attempt, but it's really not. I'm dropping a number right now. I think I failed 10 startups to get to where I am today. Wow. And none of them are failures because like one of them I made connections from, and that's where I got connected to founders and CEOs. So maybe financially failed, but then my network was bigger. And then one of them I was in like the Web3 and crypto space, failed, but that one connected me to Frank, who is my mentor and business partner now, and I'm doing a bunch of stuff with. So fail. And now I'm like finally at a place where things are kind of all coming together and working. But I guess my advice is you have to straight up like learn to enjoy the failure. I mean, obviously when it happens, it sucks. You're like, oh my God, but you need to realize every time you fail, like, all right, I'm one step closer to success. So
I like it.
There's no path where you don't fail. And it's like, just all right, one more thing I'll say to that. Yes. Don't care what people think. People are so scared. I'm going to fail. What is everyone going to think? Who gives a shit? Everyone's in their own story.
Embarrassed.
Everyone is in a movie and you're all the main character in your movie. Do you think other people are paying attention to you and if you're going to fail? And if they are, that means they're just jealous that you're out there doing something that they're too scared to do. So if anyone's casting shade on you, that just means they're not happy. But in real life, people are just hoping they don't fail and they're focusing on themselves. So no one is really paying that much attention to you. I'm sorry, I know you're probably really special, but not that special. Neither am I, okay? No one paying attention to me. It's fine. Just the universe and galaxy is enormous and we're a tiny little speck. So just go after it and do it.
I love it. Somebody did mention that. We're all special, but we're all equal. We're all like, if you zoom out,
yeah, it's the same. It's the same. We're like, people like this, they're like a superhero. It's like, I'm awesome too, but like, come on, it's fine. Everyone's paying attention to themselves.
No, but I love what you said. Like, expect the failure because literally it's gonna happen in life, in anything you do. Mm-hmm. It's gonna happen, and just kind of knowing that it's part of it is huge because you're not so like down about it. I mean, yeah, in the beginning you feel all bad. Obviously, that's human nature.
And take a day or two, by the way, when bad things happen. It's okay. Feel it for a little bit, but then like get out of it. Like don't camp out overnight. Don't pitch a tent. Maybe just stay there, cry by the fire, and keep moving on. Once you pitch a tent, it's over. Don't pitch a tent in your sadness. Move on.
I like that. Yeah, give yourself like 1 or 2 days.
Exactly.
Don't make it like a week or a month.
Exactly. Just you gotta feel, cry, whatever. Do whatever you need to do, then move on. Get over it.
Take the next step. Exactly. Yeah, I think that's like definitely the number one thing I like what you shared. Like you have to think of the next step. don't think of the back, right? Think of the next step.
Exactly. Where do we go from here? How do I pivot? What do I change? What do I do from here?
Yeah, what would be
You
like?
gotta have that the resilient mindset. That's like I think most successful entrepreneurs aren't the smartest people in the world. There's plenty of PhDs who just like study all the time and then end up unhappy or broke. People like the successful entrepreneurs are the ones who just keep going. They fail, but they pick themselves up and keep going. They're like almost like an insane person. So like just that, being able to be resilient and be like, all right, I'm going to keep moving forward. I keep going. Those are the ones who make it. So
I think so. Yeah, definitely. I think I like that skill that you share. Basically, probably what you have to do every time.
Yeah, exactly.
You probably
it sucks every time I fail. Like, I thought this was the one. You think by the 6th startup, I was like, this is definitely the one. Like, oh my God. But I picked myself up quicker each time. Like, all right, what are we doing different? Where are we going from here?
Oh, you get quicker at it because you kind of like know that.
You just get used to it. You got the scars and you're like, all right, whatever. Here we go again. Let's just get back to it tomorrow.
I love it. I love it. Thanks for sharing. So, okay. So expect that there will be failure.
Yes.
There's no way out of that.
It'll make you better. It'll make you better in your personal relationships too. Like get good at failure.
Yeah.
Because you don't have control over most things in life. So you got to be just good at accepting whatever comes your way and being able to move through that.
Yeah, even in relationships, in anytime you interact with someone, even like let's say you have a partner you're working with right now, Frank. I'm sure you guys have your ups and downs, but you also have to figure out a way to work together.
Exactly. We always and that's it. Because we both mutually agree that we really enjoy working together. We benefit from each other. So it's like, all right, as long as we got that solid foundation. Of course, I spend every day on the phone with Frank all the time. You know, we have good days, we have bad days, but that's okay because as long as we keep it respectful and make sure we're on the same mission, we keep moving forward, then that's good. Yeah, so partnerships are important in business and life.
Yes, definitely. I was going to ask, like, what would be like, let's say 1 or 2 keys to keeping a healthy partnership, would you say? Like, what would be, is it like the ego? Do you have to keep the ego?
Yeah, I would say like, you know, actual relationship, like romantic partners and business partners is not so different. The foundational stuff that makes things work. One thing is gotta have complementary skill sets. You kind of have to complement each other in ways where like if you don't both like get bummed by the same thing and then you know, like one person needs to be like the pick me up in a certain moment and the other one like not you know, you got to be able to complement each other in all situations and complementary skill sets too. You know, like with Frank, he's got a lot of like good big picture visionary stuff and strategy, and I'll work on that stuff with him too. But I do a lot of like the hands-on with the technical stuff and learning the AI tools and figuring out how it all works.
Yeah,
so just like I've failed in partnerships before where I've had someone who basically is like the same as me. It's like you can't really like have 2 like CEOs or something. You got to have like, if you're really good at this, find someone who's good at that. Like if you're good at sales, find someone who's good at tech. If you're like, so I guess complementary skill sets is what I'm going back to in a lot of different words.
I love that. I wouldn't even think of that, but that's true. You guys are very complementary, very different, but you're very complementary at the same time.
Yeah.
You have very different skill sets. Yeah. He's more big picture. He's more,
and being respectful is very key. You can have disagreements all the time. Like that's okay. It's healthy to have disagreements and challenge each other and push each other. But as long as you keep it respectful, that's key. If you're in partnerships where people are like crossing the line and saying inappropriate things to you, like that's toxic and you gotta get out of that no matter what stress that they have. So as long as they have to keep it respectful, like that's definitely another major key. And I think the third thing I would say is pushing each other to grow, like making each other better people is very important. You never want to plateau in life. The way I see it is I want to be growing all the way until I'm dead.
Same.
So I always grow in growth mentality. So just have someone who like pushes you on that, not someone who's always a naysayer or really negative or kind of pulling you down. You want someone who like lifts you up. So that's very important. And again, like I said, same with romantic relationships and business relationships. You need
I love that. People. Yeah. The positive thinking, like the thinking what's possible versus, oh, this is not going to work. That's like,
exactly. I mean, sometimes people got to be realist about things, but if someone's always just shooting down your ideas, you're like, I don't like this. I got to find someone who believes in me a little more. This isn't working.
You're mad at Tom Cruise. Remember the story when he was saying he was doing this building, he wanted to like do the stunt on the big building, and the safety guy told him it's not possible. He fired.
He fired. Yeah, he did exactly. He's like, I'll get somebody blames at this point. Yeah, true.
But it's important. Like if you're building something that didn't exist before, it is normal that it's gonna be a risk. It's gonna
100%.
Unknown. So you definitely want to be, around people that uplift you, that will let you try it out at least.
Exactly. Oh, one more thing I thought of too. It's fine. I have things that just pop into my brain as we go.
Yes.
But another very important thing is accountability, because I've worked with partners before too, where like you call them out on stuff and then they'll always deflect or be like, well, you this or you that. It's like, if people can't own their stuff, nothing's ever going to work. I mean, it doesn't feel good to say you're wrong, but I do it plenty. When I'm wrong, I'll just be, okay, sorry, I messed it up. Let's keep moving forward. So you have to just accept it, move on. And that's like a sign of leadership too. Someone who's just always like having excuses or like, no, this or that. That's a negative kind of partner as well, because you gotta have ownership. That's the only way you can really grow anything meaningful, is if people can just admit when they mess something up and then move forward. Otherwise, you can't fix any behavioral traits that aren't working for the company, because if they don't even admit it or accept it, how are they going to grow? You got to have ownership before growth.
I love it. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, because that's true in anything in life, right? Any relationship. Like if the person is constantly like blaming everybody else, or
deflecting, like
then you're gonna get nowhere.
Exactly. Like, all right, well, back to where we started.
Because they're gonna do the same thing again.
100%. Yeah, because now we didn't resolve anything. Nothing's been resolved. So you're back to where you started.
You have to be like humble enough, I feel like, almost to admit that you're wrong. That takes like humility.
Exactly.
To say, yes, I admit it.
I would say whenever I'm like, we have a culture like that where we're wrong. I'll say, I'm like, I hate to say this. I don't like this right now, but yes, I messed that one up. I hate this feeling, but it's all right. You just call it out and then you move on. It's not the end of the world. We're all human.
Yeah, I love it, because definitely shows humility, and it shows that you want to grow, you want to progress, you want to like get to the next level. You don't want to be like stagnant. You don't want to
100%
stay constantly where you are. You want to progress.
Because if someone's calling you out on something, sure, maybe they're wrong, and a lot of people will try to give you advice when they're not where you want to be in life. So I would say don't take advice from people who aren't where you want to be. But if people who are where you want to be are giving you advice, it might like hurt at first. You're like, oh, I know everything. But then you get like, what if they're right? Always ask yourself, but what if they're right though? Because that's how, people are giving you outside in perspective. Don't take it all. Of course, sometimes they're wrong, but just ask yourself, what if they are right?
I would never think that way. That's so true. What if they're right?
It's possible.
That's like the possibility of it. You just gotta allow.
Exactly. It helps you just to open your mind a little bit and not be so stuck to your ego. Like, I'm right. It's like, just ask yourself. It's a simple question. Yourself. What if they're right?
I would never think of that. I love it. But that's so, like, it literally changes your mindset of it. And it opens the door a little bit.
100%.
Like you're not so stuck in your ways, because sometimes we get stuck in our ways. My way is the highway.
Exactly.
That's the other way. And then, like, I used to be like that, like, back in the day before I discovered spirituality and meditation.
You're like, I know everything.
But before that, I was like, I didn't want to hear it.
Oh,
I was like, I am the only one.
Feedback's not easy to hear. I know it.
But now, now that I've been on the journey of life, I have learned.
You're like, some people know stuff I know.
Listen, sometimes. They're speaking to you, like I said, if it's somebody, especially if it's somebody who you want to like aspire to be like.
Exactly. That's the
definitely
key.
You would pay attention more to their words.
Yeah, true.
Like I wouldn't take advice from somebody who is not where you want to be.
Or someone who's just unhappy in life and like just working a job they don't like. It's like, well, you're just telling me this advice because you're in a place of fear. So why I'm not gonna listen to that. But I'll listen to someone who's crushing it in business, doing something they love, like tell me everything. Give me the key.
Yeah, and I'm the same way. Like I pay attention to, like I'll watch people, like let's say Frank, you guys, like I watch how you behave, and this is like where I would like inspire to be like in some way, but not in AI.
No, not AI. You'll be coming in AI. We're gonna put some clips of the podcast in AI.
I did use AI. That's right. I finally use AI. Thanks to Ben.
There we go.
I used the AI finally. It was amazing. Those clips, the what is it? The short.
The short clips. Yeah, the TikTok
Amazing.
style. If you see a clip from this podcast and there's some subtitles and it looks cool, AI, made
AI. Well, yeah, that's like my first trying of AI. That's true. You guys are rubbing off on me already.
Listen, everyone's going to be using it in a matter of a couple of years. You just became an early adopter, right? Because no matter what, we can't escape it. We're all going to be using it.
Yeah, somebody said that. Was it like Mark? Was it that guy from Shark Tank?
Mark Cuban?
Yes, he said that most people right now, what should be spending with their free time is learning AI. This is what they should be spending their time on.
Just mess around in ChatGPT. That's what I tell everyone. Just start playing with it. If you don't know where to start, just go in ChatGPT and say, I don't know where to start. Tell me. And then it'll start like giving you options. And you just start the conversation. And then you start figuring out, I use it for recipes. I made a nice new recipe yesterday. I use it for travel planning. This is all beside the business stuff. But business, I use it for everything. Business plans, financial forecasting, writing emails, marketing copy, marketing campaigns, everything you could possibly imagine, even strategy stuff. About like, oh, what should I do to get in front of this person? What's the messaging that'll resonate with them? You can do everything with AI. I know I said we were going to talk about AI. I'm really excited about it.
But I can do financial forecasting, but you have to feed it numbers.
You got to feed it stuff, and you got to check the numbers. I will say one thing. Even the other day, I asked it to like give me a breakdown of numbers, and all the numbers were right, but then the total sum was wrong. So I would say one thing. They're going to get better at this, but AI is like not great at math for some reason. It should be like the thing it can easily do. So definitely check everything it gives you. Yeah, I just posted a clip about this the other day, but I was like, don't. It was from the event, Elisa's event that you were at. When I said on stage, you filmed the clip. Thank you. That's what I was telling everyone. Don't just copy and paste ChatGPT stuff and send it out like it's yours. You need to still own it and like check it and just think of it like someone who works for you. You got to really still be the human who like reviews it. Use your brain. Don't forget to use your brain. Don't let AI replace that.
That's a strong tip to remember. Yeah, because sometimes we may just like rely on it 100%.
Yeah, and then the machines go down from that. Everyone's like, ooh.
Yeah, you still have to have
you gotta know what to do.
You're still a human, so you still should know.
Exactly.
Yourself.
No stuff. All right, that's the key. Name this episode No Stuff. It's the No Stuff episode.
No Stuff. I love it. No, but the AI thing, I think I agree with you. Knowing just a little bit of the basics of it now, just getting your feet wet in it now will help us down the line when it just like all explodes.
Yeah, exactly. And then like at least you have a little sense of what's happening. Like you don't need to put too much pressure on yourself or like just mess around with it, which you're doing.
A little bit. You're just rubbing off on me.
Come to nothing more events, you'll be an expert in AI.
Yeah, literally, that's how we met. But short story, how we met.
Oh yeah,
at one of their events.
Which event was it? The one with Donald?
No, before that, it was October. There was the one when
humanization of AI.
Humanization of AI. I love that product, by the way. I don't know if we can talk about it.
Yeah, we can talk about it. Absolutely.
I love that product, the humanization of AI, because I'm all into like the mental health and wellness and things like that. So I was like so shocked that you guys created something.
Whoa.
I was like, wait a minute, you can have like an AI that can speak to you, but the short story about the app, right, or whatever the product.
I'll also, and then we'll go back. I want to hear about your impression of what we met. But Tranquil AI, we're basically leveraging empathic and agentic AI to tackle the global mental health crisis, starting with veterans. Because if you think about like people calling into Department of Veteran Affairs and places like the suicide hotline, really anyone with mental health issues, there's this huge problem where they're put on hold for like up to a half hour, an hour. Like that's annoying if you're calling your bank, but if you're calling the suicide hotline, that is unacceptable.
Yeah.
In the last 10 years, over 1 million people hung up by waiting on hold on the suicide hotline. So basically, we're creating these comfort agents, which we're not replacing people, we're not replacing therapies, we're replacing hold. So that anytime people call, whether it's 2 a.m, it's 24/7, it's empathic, it's personalized, and it's for you, AI, that you can just like vent and talk to about things until you get to the person, right? So, and then it'll escalate as needed, but just something that you can talk to immediately that remembers you and is empathetic. And a lot of times people just need to vent. So we're trying to combat hold, especially for people who need it the most. And that's a high level of
Yes, thank you for explaining. But I didn't know the app that you guys created. So I come to the event. The first one, it was like October 2024. I come to their event. It was in New York.
That was good. Yeah.
It was amazing. It was amazing. And then you guys do this demo. You're like, okay, so there's empathetic AI. And I didn't know what you meant. I was like, what do you mean? Like, empathetic AI?
Seems like an oxymoron.
And then you do this demo where you have like
is that with the face, Nigel? Yeah.
The face. And it was literally a conversation. You did like a demo of a conversation where we could follow along somebody calling in, and the AI was empathetic.
Yeah, they were calling with distress, like saying I'm having a really hard time, and it like hears you, it listens, it just like
I was like blown away. Yeah, I didn't know that existed, but like you said, like it is just bridging the gap, right? You would still wait for the actual person, but just that alone,
exactly, just give someone immediate relief. Because even if you have like let's say you're a veteran and you have an appointment with a therapist every week. What happens if you're having a rough time in between a week? A week is a long time. Most of the times people are having a hard time is 2 a.m. in a cold sweat waking up. So who do you have to call then? Right now, it's no one. So we just want to be something that they have always, whenever you need it.
Oh, so this hotline wouldn't be like, or whatever, the app wouldn't be like a specific time. You could be at
No, it's 24. That's one of the magic of AI. It's always on. It's always available for you. It'll talk to you as long as you want. If you want to have an 8-hour conversation, it'll sit there and talk to you. There's limitations with having people as these agents. That's why this AI is so powerful. Anytime you need it, and it remembers you. It's not asking who you are again. It remembers the last conversation and all the context.
Oh, I didn't even think of that part. That's cooler.
Yeah, exactly. Anytime you need it.
The hotline is not available after a certain hour, let's say 11 p.m. or whatever. I don't know.
Right. So what are people supposed to do? It's like you got to be conveniently under distress.
Wait till morning.
Yeah. Like, I figured it out. Thanks. But yes.
I did that's even crazier. What's in the middle of the night, if someone is having like a situation, they can use AI in the middle of the night and it will listen.
As long as you, and I mean, if anyone's listening right now to this and they're like, well, you can do that with ChatGPT. We're kind of doing more of an enterprise rollout. So like we actually will sell this to companies like the Suicide Hotline and Department of Veteran Affairs so they can roll this out to their people and actually have guardrails. So it's not just like anything goes, right? Because right now, if you just go on ChatGPT, whatever you say, there's nothing private about it. There's nothing secure. That information is going to go back to the cloud where everyone's information is. So if you're having like a very deep, dark conversation about like your past or things you don't want that information going out there. So what we're doing is like create a secure version of this that's actually based on the policy of that organization rolled out to the people they serve.
They will own the space.
Exactly. Rather than it just being this big thing that just
accessible to everybody.
Accessible to everyone. Right. Exactly.
Oh,
so I feel very good about this because this is kind of the culmination of everything I've been working on my life. Now I'm leveraging tech, but it's doing good in the world, which is like, that's all I can ever want to do.
Are you also into like, are you like an advocate of mental health and things like that?
Yeah, I'm not like in the space, but just as a human, like everyone I talk to, like I've talked about mental health a lot, especially on my podcast, because especially as an entrepreneur, it can be like a rough, rocky road.
It's a roller coaster.
So you could have a great day, and then you could next month be like, how am I paying the bills? And like just in general, you got to look out for your mental health before anything else. Before you think about making money, before you think about being there for someone else, you got to be good with yourself. That's like the first thing I think everyone needs to take care of is your mental health and your physical health. And then from there, I think a lot of people try to be there for other people and help other people when they didn't do that for themselves. And that doesn't work for anyone. Yeah. So you got to start with you, and then you can think about helping other people.
That is so true. Yeah. I feel like that's like sometimes people really rush and then they kind of, I want to.
Exactly. So you got to lock it down. You got to be the living proof first. That what you talked about is something. But man, mental health is so important. I mean, I think it's something that people are talking about more lately. It used to be like a whole stigma, but I think everyone should talk about it. If you're having a bad day, you should be able to talk to someone about it. You know, I think in the workplace, if you're like going through something, it should be more acceptable. Not like, oh my God, you got to see shrink.
What's
like everyone is experiencing this stuff.
You're
every single human. So why are we acting like it's this big secret? We're all having rough days, and like everyone is like, COVID happened, we collectively had a real hard time. And then I think a lot of people are still like struggle in society from that. And they actually, a lot of things came to light about mental health from that. So I think the best thing that happened from that is that more people are talking about it now.
Yes, I think that I agree with you. Like the mental health, I feel like, yeah, it isn't spoken about as much, but now it's starting to be a little bit more like after the pandemic. But like, it's the same thing. Like, show me a human that's perfect. Like,
yeah, who doesn't feel horrible sometimes? Why are they pretending? And everyone's like looking on social media thinking, oh, that person's got it all figured out. That's just what they want you to see. What about everything behind the scenes when they're miserable, like just some days, and like, you're just seeing the most polished, perfect version of people on social media. And then people compare themselves against that. And it's like, everyone has rough days. So then we all need to kind of be a little easier on ourselves.
I like that. Yes, definitely be easier on yourself because I feel like it's just the human experience.
Yeah.
Everything.
It's not easy. It's not easy.
Everything in life goes up and down.
It's a wave. That's why I like the ocean. Like when I grew up, everything goes back to the ocean. It's like a wave. It goes a great thing. But I've come more to peace with that. Like when I have my rough patches, I'm just like,
what do you do? What works for you?
Well, a couple things. I mean, first, acceptance of just like not getting too deep in my head. Just like knowing I'm like, okay, this is something that happens sometimes and it's gonna pass. So not like identifying with it, like I'm depressed, like I'm just more like I'm feeling depressed right now, temporarily. So kind of just like disassociating with it and just like observing it versus like being in it. But I mean, some like tactical things, writing lists of like, if you're feeling overwhelmed, just like start writing a list of everything that you're feeling overwhelmed about or need to do. So just get it all out of your head on
data
paper.
dump on paper.
Journaling is huge. So data dump, the more you keep it in your head, the more it gets overwhelming and confusing. So just like write it all out. So definitely write. If you have access to a banya, I love that with the sauna and cold plunge. That'll snap you out of a funk real quick. So I don't always have access to that, but when I do it, like that's like the best thing. Is just like
really quick.
Go to your Russian banya. It's so good. That's like my favorite thing. Nature, if you can access that. I know it's a little tough here in New York, but Prospect Park's pretty close to nature.
Prospect Park.
So yeah, being in touch with nature and maybe even sometimes just getting off the screen. If you're like feeling really, sometimes personally for me, if I'm feeling like really in a funk, I'll be staring at my screen like cloudy brain, still trying. I'm like not making much progress. You got to be okay just to shut that sometimes. Be like, let me just take a walk. I'll get back to it in an hour. So those are a couple tactics. Or call someone who you know boosts your mood.
Yes, I love it because writing helps a lot.
Yeah.
Because when you have stuff in your head and you're just like keeping circulating,
it just stay there. You got to get it out.
Yeah.
You have to get it out.
So writing for me helps a lot. Even though I just take a piece of paper and I throw it out.
Yeah, you can burn it, whatever. You don't need to keep it.
Yeah, or it's like the journal, whatever it is, like whatever works for everybody. It doesn't matter at all.
Yeah, exactly. Just find the way that works for you. That's it.
It will most
you can do it if it needs to be on your notes app on your phone. If you don't have access to paper, just having notes. Make a folder called brain dump or journal, and then just make a new note anytime you need to just get stuff out.
Yeah, and nature for me, definitely. Prospect Park, like just being in nature just shifts the mindset so quickly for me. Like I just completely like forget it. I'm like, oh, and it make you more present. You're more present in the moment.
Exactly.
So you're not so wrapped up with whatever you think is so big, but it's really like you said, you zoom out.
You zoom out and look at the world and then look at the galaxy and then all the planets and the fact that space goes forever. We're nothing.
Yeah, so that's the thing, right? It feels like this is the biggest.
I know exactly in the world. Like, oh my God, everything's crumbling. It's like nothing's crumbling. I don't mean to minimize our existence. It all is big, but if you just get a little perspective, it's like it's not that big a deal.
And then
you don't need to take that seriously.
Yeah, but then you can remember the other times when it seemed like it was so bad, it was so big, and you got out of that. So
yeah, true. I remind yourself that every time you've gone through this before, you've survived. You've always survived. You found a way. So I think it comes with experience and age too. As you get older, you're like, this isn't good. None of the other stuff killed me. I don't think this one is. So we're gonna be all right. But it's also good just having a good support system around you. You know, having family and friends you can call when you're having a rough time.
Sometimes just calling a person also works. Yeah, whatever works for you. Like I said, just different options available. You can always kind of go through whatever works for you. One day it's nature. One day you call somebody. One day you do your own thing. One day you journal. One day you go help somebody else. Somebody said, like, if you help somebody else.
Yeah, true. That has helped me. Even when I don't feel like I'm like, I don't want to talk to anyone, but then I just like do a nice random act of kindness. I'm like, okay, that actually.
Really?
Because I'm like, I feel miserable, but at least I'm not being miserable. I'm at least being a nice person, so I can feel good, and it starts getting you out of it a little bit.
I love it. Okay, so I have some small questions. Let me see if I forgot anything. I want to get to some questions. Ooh. Okay. So this is more general to life. I know we discussed a lot of topics already, really good topics.
We're covering a lot of ground here.
But if you were to mention, let's say, 2 lessons in life that you have learned so far on your journey, what would they be?
2 lessons.
Yeah.
I mean, well, nothing ever goes as planned. Ever. So just expect that, and then it'll be easier to accept when it definitely doesn't go as planned. No matter what. Doesn't matter. Like, you think you're gonna get in a relationship and then you can't, and then all of a sudden you're like, I give up, and then the relationship happens. That's kind of what happened with my relationship with my girlfriend, Amari. I was like, oh, she's a beautiful, wonderful person. Shout out to Amari, by the way.
Shout out to the girlfriend. What's her name?
Amari.
It's
almost like the word love. But the thing is, like, both of us separately, when we totally were like done with dating and like, I don't care about it. I don't need to meet anyone. That's right when we met each other.
I am serious.
So that's always how it happens. And in business, you're like, I got this plan. It's going to go awesome. And then everything, you do everything that the plan said, and then nobody goes onto your app that you just created that you thought 100 people were going to go on day one. You're like, oh, that didn't work. Oh, it just nothing can go. Like, things will surprise you, and surprises are good and bad. Life gives you both good and bad surprises, but just know, plan the best you can, and then when it doesn't go that way, adapt, be adaptable. So
yes, but basically it sounds like, yes, what happened? So no, that's beautiful to hear about the relationship that you guys were both at.
Well, I'm done with this. I'm sick of this. Exactly. Over it.
And then the universe.
And we're like, the universe is like, wow, hi. I guess love is real still. So
that gives people hope. I feel like you're feeling like everything's going wrong.
Exactly. Surprise is good, but both ways. So sometimes when you think everything's falling apart, then that's when you get that one mysterious call or email where you're like, oh, surprise. It is a good surprise. So
I love
it goes
that.
in both directions.
I love that. Okay.
So that's like, yeah.
That's one.
That's one.
Let's see. I'm gonna say, what would be
Well, I want your answer on that one.
Oh, you might.
Yeah, you.
Okay. I'll give one. So my journey, I learned to listen to my intuition. Because sometimes you do what everybody else is telling you to do. You follow along what everybody else is deciding for you, or from their life experience is telling you, but they're not you.
Just having a totally different life.
They're not you. They cannot possibly know. I mean, they can share their wisdom of life and everything, but ultimately, your own intuition, you know better than anybody on planet Earth what's better for you.
Yeah, you're an expert on you.
I like that. You're an expert on you. Yeah, I think like listening to intuition has been like the number one. It helps with everything. Like, even like you don't know what you're gonna do today, you check in with yourself, like what would be like the best, highest possible, timeline for me today. Or if I'm going to an event, like let's say I set the intention, like I like to set intentions. Like I say, I have intentions written everywhere.
Absolutely, yeah. You gotta go with the plan.
If I go to an event, I set the intention, for the event. Like you don't just like wonder.
Yeah, true. I've gone to events before with no intention, nothing really happens. Like I had no plan. Nothing really. There's no positive outcome if you don't have a goal. So yeah. Having intentions is very
definitely, yeah. The intention, the intuition, the intention is definitely huge. And I feel like, with everything, like every step I take in life, I check in with myself first, which is not what I used to do before.
Hey, sure, it was going with it. Now it's pretty
bad. It was everybody else deciding for Maria.
Now it's Maria decides.
Not Maria deciding for Maria.
I'm my expert. Okay, back off, everyone.
I'm my expert.
Thank you for saying it sound like an insane person. Hey, back off. I'm my expert.
I'm my expert. But yeah, that's been like the biggest shift I feel like in the whole journey is learning to trust my own intuition, learn to trust, even if I get it wrong, even if I listen to myself.
Learn your own way.
Yeah, even if I got it wrong completely, but it was my choice. It was my kind of intuition telling me to go. Like you said, you're going to have failure, but then it leads you to the next step. It leads
Exactly. No one can have those failures for you. You got to do it.
Yeah, so don't be afraid, even if your intuition leads you somewhere you think is wrong.
Yeah, exactly. There's no wrong.
There's no wrong. It's just like the next step. Like you said, you just take the next step. What do you take up to that? And you never know. It might lead to the good relationship. It might lead to the good business partner.
Exactly.
It was after all those failures you met Frank, right?
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. I didn't just meet him my first time. Let me start a business. Oh, Frank. No. You gotta follow your path. You gotta get there.
Yeah. So I feel like, yeah, definitely don't be afraid, even if your intuition you think is guiding you wrong. It's fine. It's gonna.
Because no matter what, you're exactly where you're supposed to be right now anyway. So nothing is wrong. This is just where you're supposed to be, and then tomorrow that's where you're supposed to be then. So I don't even know if that makes sense, but it makes sense to me.
I absolutely agree. Yeah, I think that's what it is. Like just talking to you today, like it's just kind of like reminding me to be okay with things going wrong, to be okay with failure, to be okay with like mishaps in life. That's part of life. That's how you grow. That's how you progress. That's how you know what the next step is. Because if everything is perfect every day, what are you going to learn?
Exactly. But you're not going to enjoy it. It's just going to take it all for granted, you know?
Yeah, but you're not even going to progress. You're going to do the same.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
The same.
I don't most of the I mostly remember the hard moments in my life. That's where I've had the most growth. It's like when things are going great, yeah, it feels good, but like you're not really growing. You're just kind of, these pivotal moments where like things go wrong. That's what defines you as a person. Like, where do you go from there? There's a fork in the road. You can either give up or you pick yourself up and you keep going.
Whoa, that's a good one. Yeah, and it's up to us, like to kind of be okay to make that choice. Like.
That's right.
Don't be scared of it. Don't be like.
And even if you are scared, just do it anyway.
I love that.
I'm scared plenty of the time. I just don't let it stop me. I'm scared and I'm doing it. You don't need to, you can be scared and still do it. That's allowed.
I love that. That's like a piece I feel like a lot of people, including myself, sometimes I forget. It's okay, even if you're scared.
Yeah, still do it.
You can still do it.
Exactly.
Don't wait till it's like completely.
You're never going to regret having tried stuff that failed. You only regret not having tried stuff. I'm never going to regret
my failures. That's why I always think about like the end of my life. I just fast forward my whole life. I'm like, all right, I'll always just be happy knowing I tried everything that I wanted to try in life. I'll only regret if I didn't try.
I love it. Okay, so we're getting to the conclusion of our chat, but I have two questions.
I'll keep my answer concise.
No, you can keep going. I don't care. But we're gonna do the question everything cards, which is a fun game I like to play. It's okay, so we're not gonna look. We're not gonna look.
Intuition, all right. Intuition.
Which one you pick?
All right.
You pick.
All right, let's see.
You can shuffle them.
I want that one.
Okay, there you go. And then
I just throw it over there.
Well, two. One more.
All right,
one more.
then you have to pick.
Okay, I pick this one. All right, so now we both have to answer. You have to answer. Okay, we both answer. Okay, let's see what we got.
Let's see what the question is.
Hopefully they're not too.
The first one is, what does it feel like to be a woman? I'm like, ooh, you take that one.
Oh, okay.
What's your all-time most memorable meal? Ooh. Is that like I made some dope food last night, by the way. I can't say it's my all-time most memorable, but I made this like a potato leek soup. That was tasty, but no, not all time.
You can do like a dinner with somebody. You can make it like a dinner with somebody who was like very memorable for you.
I'll just throw this back to just like childhood dinner with my family. My mom's spaghetti and meatballs at the dinner table. Just when times are simpler, there with the family, the spaghetti and meatballs was the best ever. Better than all of your Italian mom's spaghetti and meatballs. Because it's my mom. All right, so it's the best.
This
But
one wins
yeah.
today.
I'm the one of the podcast. My mom makes the best spaghetti. I think that like I've had a lot of really great meals with amazing people, so it's hard to like pick a specific one. But I would just say childhood meals with the family. That's just like a really nice memory that warms my heart.
Okay, thank you. I would say also childhood because I used to live with my mom's mom, my grandmother, before she passed away. We were like little, but before she passed away, she loved cooking. Like her
That's
favorite thing in the world was to cook, and she would cook a separate meal for me, separate meal for my brother.
Oh, nice!
Like-
you got whatever you want.
Yeah. And my favorite dish was it's like a Russian dish, but it's basically you just do like potatoes and chicken. So you just mash potatoes and chicken. So it's kind of like a regular.
Sometimes that's the best. The basics are the best.
And
thing.
that was like all I would request when I was little.
Potatoes and chicken. She's like, oh, that's so easy. I'm used to having difficult orders.
That's all I wanted to eat. So even today, like if I'm cooking, if I create something with like chicken and potato in it, I will mash the potato myself.
That's awesome. Like, this is how it's done.
I'm used
Part of
to
the
it being
experience.
like that. Yeah. Okay.
That's great. All right,
go.
cool.
Take it.
But
Of course, this is the question for Ben.
this is the best party you've ever been to.
This is so better than lobster party.
Oh my God. It has to be one of these NFT experience. Okay.
Oh my God.
All right. So
course,
for
this
those
is
who don't, like in the crypto space, like NFTs, non-fungible tokens, it's a hard thing to explain, but basically there was a whole thing in like 2022, 2023, where everyone was talking about these images, these 10,000 collection of images of like monkeys, like the Bored Ape Yacht Club is one of them, where like all these pictures of monkeys or whatever the art is backed by the blockchain in these collections, somehow people hyped them up and then they became like hundreds of thousands of dollars of value. So like there was communities built around these NFTs. There were people getting rich. Like there's all this crazy thing. And I started a company in that space and I was like that's a whole other episode, but those were the best parties in the world because it was a mix of tech and art and everyone was rich. So I was like there's
What? I never even heard of that.
There's one specific one out in NFT LA. So I went and I met with a group of friends that I met online through this community, and then I ended up becoming friends with them. But there was this like spot that was called the Dome or like the Orb in like LA, and there was these domes where all this cool art was everywhere, and they had free drinks, and like everyone was just in such a good spirit, and everyone was making money. And then there was a live performance of Dark Side of the Moon by Pink Floyd. Scott Page was there on saxophone. He was original saxophone from Pink Floyd, and it was an epic experience. It was in this dome. They were playing live, and then I ended up becoming friends with Scott Page, and we just like now we're buddies to this day. Shout out Scott. I owe you a call. I was calling you back, Scott. But that part, I remember that night was just so cool because no one knew each other, but we all became friends that night. There was this guy, and Mike and the guy from Blockchain Miner Club are going to know if they listen to this episode. There was this guy called Falling Guy. And there was this guy who just like came in and we were all in a circle talking, just having fun. And this one like old British guy came out and like started talking and saying some nonsense, and then he just like fell and tumbled over. But then like we went to check on him and he was just gone. And we don't know to this day where he is or who he is. The Falling Guy. So there was just like insane people. Like there was awesome live music. There was like friendship and art, and I was like, this is a party. So I was like, this is one that
That's pretty cool.
That was wild.
That's pretty cool. I don't expect that answer.
It was very unexpected.
That is amazing.
Crazy.
That is amazing. Mine would be, we were actually talking about with Frank when we were meeting up. What was his name? Wayne? We were meeting up with
Wayne, yep.
And we were talking about the salsa dance scene.
Oh,
and
you salsa dance, right?
I love salsa dancing.
Nice.
Yeah, and Frank was saying when he first saw the way the parties are run. So the way the parties are run is you can go to any social, like in any city that's salsa social, and you can dance with any partner. Like there is like it's got like an unwritten rule that they will dance with you. Like there is no,
Right.
like you don't have to know everybody. You don't have to have like a specific circle.
When you go to that party, you get to dance with whoever.
Yeah, Frank was like, when he's like, when he first saw this also dance community, he's like, wait a minute, people can go up and dance to anybody. They can go, and and then he's like, how do they know that the guy is not going to be like a bad guy? And I said that the way we know is if you're dancing with a guy and if he's gonna be like a creeper, he's gonna do something, and the next social, no one's gonna dance with him.
Everyone just shut up joy, but just shut.
Yeah, the word is spread so fast.
Like this guy sucks.
So everybody's like, no, that if you want to like continuously stay in the salsa circle, that's kind of the
You gotta
average
be
rule.
a good person.
Yeah, that's kind of because you're gonna run into people everywhere you go. So I think definitely like the salsa social experiences have definitely been like very welcoming. Also, kind of like your events are also very welcoming.
Thank you.
But the salsa experience is also like very like, yeah, you can go to any city.
What city is the best for salsa?
New York.
That's right. New York, best city in New York.
New York, come on out. There's
Big
no
Apple.
competition. There's no competition. Don't
Easy.
even try.
Easy answer.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, for me, I like the New York salsa scene. Literally, you can go to any social anywhere and they will dance with you, and they are very welcoming to
That's great.
everybody. So I definitely love that. And I do have another question before we go.
All right, let's do it.
So this is a
I hope
question.
it's a good one.
Yeah, this
hope
is
it's
the last one. So this is the question I ask everybody at the end. So if you had the opportunity to have the microphone and kind of speak to everybody in the world, what would be one thing you would want everybody to know or to do? Or
That's probably gonna just be a mirror of everything I've just said, but don't listen to anyone but yourself about how you want to live your life. Don't ever let society or a partner or parents tell you how to live your life. You got to follow what works for you. We only have one life here on earth, and it's so short. And each day that passes, it goes by faster and faster. There's no time to waste. So don't waste a minute of it. If you work a job that sucks, quit, but be smart about it
Have
and
a
get
plan.
something. Get a plan. Don't just quit blindly.
Have a
Don't be
plan.
spontaneous. But definitely get out of that situation. If you're in a bad relationship, quit that today. If you're in anything that just doesn't feel right, or if you're listening to people, or even if it's family, you have to distance yourself from them. You got to do whatever you need to focus on yourself and make sure you're living a fulfilling life. And then from there, you can take care of the people around you. But don't wait to do the thing you want to do. Just the time is now. Don't worry about what people think. It doesn't matter what they think. Nothing really matters. You're just scared, and that's okay. You can be scared, but do it anyway. Just do it anyway, even if you're scared. That's all.
I love it. Brilliant. Yes, do it anyway. Do it scared. Do it like do
Yeah.
it for you, because nobody else really knows what's right for you. Only you know what's right for you. Even if you get it wrong, it doesn't matter.
Exactly. Then you just move on and do the next thing. At least
You do the next
you start practicing like the practice of trying things. And the more you do it, then it's like getting the reps in. You get a cadence and you're like, all right, it becomes easier over time.
Yeah.
So just make a practice of doing the thing that you want to do.
Because I feel like that's one of the things they get scared of. They're like, what if I make a decision and I make a wrong decision? Like,
Yeah, exactly. Then who cares? Then make another decision to get you back on track. That's it.
okay, make another decision. You're in charge.
Yeah, exactly. So just keep making decisions till you're happy. Don't stop.
I love it. That was brilliant, brilliant. Okay, so at the end of the episode, I usually like to acknowledge the guests. So I want to acknowledge you for being the amazing human you are. I'm so happy you guys kind of stumbled into my life unexpectedly at the event.
Yes.
Both are amazing humans, you and Frank, and hopefully we get to meet your girlfriend or whoever soon. And I want to say that you're definitely a very interesting person in terms of the intention you have for wanting to see good in people, wanting to see like better in people, wanting to, help them up with you. Like you're like, I'm bringing everybody with me. Your intention, I feel like, is good. And I always kind of appreciate that in people. And I think that also you're actually living the life that you want to live. You're actually taking steps. You're taking action every day. Right, wrong, doesn't matter. You're like you're doing it no matter which way. So that's also inspiring to see somebody just go for it. Like just, even if I'm afraid, I'm going for it.
Right.
I love that. Like, so that's
Thank
like
you.
very inspiring to see that. And the third thing about you, I would say the energy in general, like I was saying before, like when you speak, when you present, when you talk, anything like that, your energy like radiates. I feel like to the people, at least I feel it like it radiates. And it's very positive. It's very like open. You're very kind of welcoming to everybody. And that has been like why I was so drawn to your events. Like it was the energy that you guys generated.
That's what we're going for.
I was like, wait a minute, I think I like this.
Awesome.
So definitely thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule.
Well, just know that you notice that energy because you have the same energy too, and you attract people to you as well, and you're a positive voice in this world. So I appreciate everything you're doing, and you're going after it too. And you got this podcast, so you're equally having a great impact in this world. And I appreciate you as well.
Thank you so much. Okay, so where can people find you? What do you want to share?
All right, got a couple links for y'all. Ben Yurcisin, probably the show notes, Instagram and LinkedIn. I like to connect with people, so both of those things. The GenAInetwork.com if you're interested in this AI stuff and the AI events we do around the world, and jctechmeetup.com if you want to be part of this Jersey City Tech Meetup. That was where my journey started and what I'm revamping today. So connect with me. If you forget any of these things, just message me. Oh, the podcast. I have one of those too. It's called Ben There Doing That. If you go on my Instagram, it'll be in my link in bio. So hit it up. I do conversations kind of like these where I just find out the tips and tricks for people to live a fulfilling and happy life. And and then we can all live that life ourselves.
Well, thank you so much, man. It's been amazing. I'm very happy we finally connected.
Me too.
It worked out perfectly today, I think.
Great. Yes. It was my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Yes. Thank you. Okay, we'll say bye.
Bye-bye.
Let me just press this button right